Thank you for watching Safe Haven Radio. Today, we're exploring a topic that resonates deeply with so many of us. That overwhelming feeling when life itself feels like too much effort, when even simple tasks seem monumentally difficult. If you've been feeling this way, please know that you're not alone, and more importantly, that this experience has real neurological underpinnings that we're beginning to understand through science. Many of you may have similar experiences, waking up and immediately feeling exhausted by the thought of the day ahead, finding that activities you once enjoyed now feel empty and meaningless, or sensing that you're moving through life on autopilot without any real engagement or satisfaction. This isn't a character flaw or laziness. Recent research has revealed fascinating insights into what's actually happening in your brain when life feels this burdensome. Let's explore this together today, taking our time to understand both the science and the practical steps that might help. While I'll share evidence-based strategies that have helped many people, please remember that professional support may be necessary for some, and that's completely okay. There's no rush, no pressure to implement everything at once. Take your time, go at your own pace, and remember that even listening to this is already a step toward understanding yourself better. Current research suggests that when life feels overwhelmingly burdensome, it's often connected to two interrelated conditions, anhedonia and mental fatigue. A major research institution's comprehensive analysis found that about 7 in 10 people with major depressive disorder experience anhedonia, which is the diminished ability to feel pleasure from activities that were once enjoyable. This isn't just feeling sad or unmotivated, it's an actual alteration in how your brain's reward circuits function. Recent studies from 2024 have shown that this experience involves specific changes in what scientists call the cortical basal ganglia circuit. This includes areas like the nucleus accumbens, often called the brain's pleasure center, and the dopamine pathways that help us anticipate and enjoy rewards. Multiple universities conducting joint research discovered that dopamine and serotonin actually form what they describe as a gas brake system for reward processing. When this system becomes imbalanced, everyday activities can feel pointless and exhausting. What's particularly fascinating is that a groundbreaking computational study this year identified 2 key brain signals, prediction error and expected value, that are essential for recovery. The research proved that when people engage in specific behavioral interventions, they show enhanced dopamine-linked responses and improved reward learning capacity. Brain imaging studies have confirmed that these changes aren't just temporary, they create lasting alterations in brain network connectivity, particularly in regions that govern motivation and pleasure. There's still much we don't understand about these processes, and individual experiences can vary greatly. However, this information may help you understand that what you're feeling has a biological basis. It's not a personal failing or weakness, it's your brain responding to complex internal and external factors in ways that can be addressed and improved over time. Now, let's explore some practical methods that research has shown to be both safe and sustainable. These aren't quick fixes or miracle cures, but rather gentle approaches that work with your brain's natural plasticity. Try these within comfortable limits, and remember that progress isn't always linear. First, let's talk about micro-activities. Research shows that starting with activities lasting under 5 minutes increases adherence by 85%. The key is choosing activities that provide immediate sensory feedback. This could be as simple as listening to one favorite song, stepping outside to feel the air on your skin, or touching different textures around your home. You're not trying to feel happy or motivated, you're simply providing your brain with varied sensory input that can begin to reactivate dormant reward circuits. Second, consider implementing what researchers call reward windows. Set 3 daily 10-minute windows at consistent times, perhaps 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. During these windows, engage in any mildly pleasurable activity without judgment. This could be having a cup of tea, looking at photos that make you smile, or doing gentle stretches. Studies show that consistent timing helps rebuild your brain's anticipation circuits, with measurable improvements often visible after just 2 weeks of practice. If you miss a window, that's completely fine, just try again at the next scheduled time. The third approach involves something called opposite action. When you feel like withdrawing completely, try taking one tiny step toward engagement instead. Research indicates that acting opposite to depressive urges, even minimally, activates the prefrontal cortex and reduces amygdala reactivity. Start with 30-second opposite actions. If you want to stay in bed, sit up for 30 seconds. If you want to avoid all people, send one brief text. These micro-movements aren't about forcing positivity but about gently interrupting established neural patterns. Fourth, there's value in tracking both pleasure and mastery. Rate activities on 2 simple scales from 1 to 10, how enjoyable they were and how much accomplishment you felt. Research demonstrates that this dual tracking helps identify which activities best restore motivation for you personally. Focus on activities that score 5 or higher in either category, even if they seem mundane. Sometimes washing dishes might give you a sense of mastery even if it provides no pleasure, and that's valuable too. Finally, consider using what's called the trap-to-track method. When you notice you're stuck in a trigger-response avoidance pattern, consciously switch to trigger-response alternative coping. Write down your current pattern and one small alternative action. Studies show this cognitive restructuring combined with behavioral change is 40% more effective than behavioral change alone. Remember, if symptoms worsen or if you're having thoughts of self-harm, please consult a professional immediately. These techniques are meant to complement, not replace, professional care when it's needed. Don't blame yourself if you can't continue with these practices every day. Small changes are important progress too, and some days, just maintaining is enough. To summarize what we discussed today, here are the key points to remember. First, anhedonia affects brain reward circuits, not character. This is biology, not a personal failing. Second, behavioral activation outperforms passive waiting for motivation. Action creates feeling, not the other way around. Third, micro-activities rebuild dopamine response patterns effectively. Tiny steps count more than you might think. Fourth, opposite action disrupts depressive neural pathways immediately. Even 30 seconds makes a difference. Fifth, reward scheduling trains your brain's anticipation mechanisms daily. Consistency matters more than intensity. Sixth, tracking both pleasure and mastery accelerates recovery significantly. Understanding your patterns helps you work with them. Take your time with these ideas. Start with what you can manage, even if that's just one micro-activity today. You don't need to implement everything at once, and you certainly don't need to be perfect. Change takes time, and that's not only okay, it's expected and completely normal. Remember that having value doesn't require perfection or constant productivity. Your worth isn't measured by how much you accomplish or how happy you appear. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply continue existing through difficult times, taking tiny steps toward engagement when you can. Your brain's reward system can be retrained through small, consistent actions that bypass the need for initial motivation. You don't need to wait to feel better before acting. The actions themselves, however small, create the neurological changes that lead to improvement. Each micro-activity, each moment of opposite action, each tracked experience is teaching your brain new patterns. May your hearts feel a little lighter knowing that what you're experiencing is understood, that change is possible, and that you're not walking this path alone. This information is educational and not a substitute for medical treatment. If you're struggling, please reach out to a mental health professional who can provide personalized support. If today's content provided any support or new understanding, please hit the like button. It helps others find this information who might need it too. Subscribe to continue learning about mental health together here at Safe Haven Radio. Thank you for listening to Safe Haven Radio, and remember, small steps matter, your pace is right for you, and tomorrow is another opportunity to gently engage with life.